I mean, I really enjoyed my time in the Navy. When that was taken away from me, that was quite an emotional hit. But then I also had to figure out how to get myself healthy, right, to the point where I can come back to the world. It took years to figure out. And what it was is my immune system had crashed. And I was essentially just allergic to life. When I'd eat something or be exposed to things, even simple things like a perfume, my immune system would just go crazy. Once the neurotoxins hit a certain level, I'd have a seizure. I'm experimenting with everything, really deepen my understanding of the ketogenic diet. As long as I get a good enough sleep and I'm good with my diet, I don't have seizures.
And we are live. Don, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you, Robert?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah, for sure. Indeed.
So let's just start with the backstory, man. So we started talking before we hit record, but I want to hear some of the backstory from a military standpoint. What got you into the military? What was the catalyst for that decision?
I just wanted to serve. I was looking at, I had a really odd choice. I was looking at going to on to graduate school for do a PhD in political economy, right? Or go to the Navy. It's an odd choice, right? But and they were very different. I had interest in kind of where I ultimately wanted to go with both of them, which is kind of the same point. But at the end of the day, I just woke up after months of kind of agonizing back and forth. Which do I want to do? I just woke up and said, I just want to serve. So that was it. I just want to serve the country and try to help people. And so then I immediately went in and signed the papers and got going. So
did you have family members that were in the military too, or were you like the first in the family?
Not really. I mean, no, really not. My father would have, but he cut off his thumb as a kid, and so he wanted to be a pilot, but they wouldn't let him do it because he couldn't operate the right button with his thumb. So he would have done it, but didn't. But yeah, there was not really anybody other than sort of during World War II, going back a few generations. Of course, people served in that, but otherwise, no.
And what did you do in the Navy?
Surface warfare officer. So I was on the way to being a ship driver. So these are the guys that are department heads on the boats and work your way up. Hopefully, the idea is to become a skipper. What I wanted to do was that I didn't get to because medical thing happened that we'll get into, but I wanted to and they call it flying, not driving. It's a Mark V SEAL insertion boat that was at that time was brand new. They've now mothballed them, but it was a really cool boat that I believe it was like 110 foot long boat that was really, really fast, really, really maneuverable, and very quiet. Had two 3,500 horsepower 16-cylinder engines in them. And this so happens, so I never got to do it. Again, we'll get to it, but a guy named Paul Merlucky, who's the founder of Anduril, I was at an event at his house, and he's in Newport Beach on the water, and he has a dock, and I'm in his yard, and he's got this Mark V in his dock. I'm like, dude, what is that? So anyway, it was awesome that he took me on a tour of that. So that was kind of a dream to be able to do that. Loved it. But then so I'm serving. I'm sitting in a briefing, and something bad happens. I have a severe seizure just out of nowhere, and I'm really lucky that my buddy who was sitting next to me he went on to be XO of SEAL Team 4. He was an EMT before he came to the Navy and knew what was going on, knew what to do. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here. And so that was the first of. So essentially, what happened is I lost consciousness. I was convulsing and was out for a long time. and turning all kinds of strange colors. Heart wasn't breathing, heart stopped, wasn't breathing. Everything just shut down, and so that was the first of several hundred episodes like that over the next several years.
And how long were you in the military before that happened? Like this totally random?
It was less than a year. I was openly my time in the Navy, from the time that I was sworn in to when the day I was separated, was exactly 365 days.
Wow. And
So,
there's like, at that point you would have been what, like 20 years old?
no, I was this was after college. I was mid-20s at the
Mid
time.
20s?
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure when I was in the college. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to go. I was interested in flying jets. I saw Top Gun.
Mhm.
So
What do you think of
that's
the
what I
new
want
Top
to do.
Gun? Do you like the new Top Gun, or is it not near as good as the original?
Say again. What was it? The
You've
Maverick.
seen the new Top Gun, right? Yeah.
I have. It's good. It's basically a replay of the first one.
Yeah.
It's
Can't beat the
very,
first
very
one though.
simple. Yeah, but it's good. It's enjoyable. So no, I mean, I wanted to do that, and but I wasn't sure if I really wanted to be in the military until later. And so at that point, when I decided I really wanted to do it, there wasn't opportunities. So because there was a significant drawdown in the early '90s, and so it took a few years for opportunities to open back up, and for me to then have that choice of grad school or Navy. So and so then so yeah, I mean, sadly, I mean, I really enjoyed my time in the Navy. I loved it. Loved the guys. The camaraderie was great, and the vast majority of guys there are there for the right reasons, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I enjoyed that. Wanted to make it a career after being in it, and so it was quite a, when that was taken away from me, that was quite a emotional hit. It was tough, and so but then I also had to figure out how to get myself healthy, right, to the point where I can come back to the world. So
Because there was no family history of the seizures. This came out of left field and hit you by
left field,
surprise.
completely out of left field. There's no history at all. I had no history in the family, no head trauma of any kind prior to that, and so it took years to come up with a theory as to what caused it. And what it was is because what we're ultimately able to figure out that it was my immune system had crashed, and I was essentially just allergic to life. And so when I'd eat something or be exposed to even simple things like a perfume or inhalants or any kind of like pollens and whatnot, my immune system would just go crazy, and they once the neurotoxins hit a certain level, I'd have a seizure. And these are the really bad, not that there's a good kind of seizure, right? But the really bad seizures. And so we were ultimately able to address that by testing what was going on with the immune system, and then found a alternative treatment that was able to rebuild the immune system. Slowly, I still do this treatment many years later, but after the first treatment, it stopped the severe seizures. I was still having many, many minor seizures, though, where part of the brain was seizing. But I was at that point, I was able to start coming back into the world because I wasn't going to make it.
What was that treatment protocol?
Yeah, so it is what's called it was called EPD, or enzyme potentiated desensitization. So it's essential where you're taking micro amounts of various antigens, hundreds or even thousands of different antigens across different categories, and then mixing them together with a solution of enzymes, and then injecting that sub-Q. And then what that then did was induce the body to produce new T suppressor cells that could then communicate with the T cells and say, no, don't go crazy when you're in the presence of this, antigen. So it's essentially to calm, to retrain the immune system. and it worked. So again, no more severe seizures after the first treatment. And of course, again, the minor seizures continued, and I had to figure that out. The thing about it is that no doctor ever mentioned the ketogenic diet.
Mm-hmm.
At least I remember. I was pretty far gone. I really wasn't very present at all for a number of years there, but nobody ever mentioned. All they said is, "Here, take this drug." And I tell you, Robert, those drugs, the side effects of those drugs are just unbearable. It's not life. It's a life not worth living, right? So I had to get off the drugs. And so I'm searching for everything. I became a biohacker before it was a thing. This is 25 years ago. And so I'm just
What were some of the
experimenting with everything.
symptoms of the drugs that you were experiencing?
Depression. It would be, I felt like I was in kind of a invisible cage, and mentally I couldn't,
Mm-hmm.
that I just couldn't break out of. It's it was very depressing, and just the particular. I mean, it depends on what it was. They all had slightly different ones. So was like Dilantin was horrible. Depakote was that just gives me, just to think the word Depakote gives me, I don't know, just get a visceral reaction.
Mm-hmm.
It is so horrible. But I don't know if that really answers your question, but it was just depressing.
And no conversation around ketogenic diet that
No,
you can recall from any of the doctors.
nope. I had to find it myself. I'm experimenting with everything, and I stumbled upon the ketogenic diet myself. And then I actually went and met with some. Do you know Dom D'Agostino by chance?
A good friend of mine.
So I went to later. I went to one of his metabolic conferences. I went to a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went to the first and second ones when they were in Tampa.
Tampa, Florida, Metabolic Health Summit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And there I met some guys from they're actually one was a pediatric, and another worked with adults at Johns Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work with them for a bit, and that's how I really deepened my understanding of the ketogenic diet. And that solved, as long as I get a good enough sleep and I'm good with my diet, I don't have seizures.
So the original variation of the ketogenic diet used in the 20s for epileptic children was like pretty much prescribed as like a 4-to-1, lots of, liquid fats, dairy fats. Were you kind of adopting that original protocol, or are you starting off with more of a modified version?
Modified for sure. It wasn't enough protein in that original protocol, right? So I was definitely having much more protein, but I was heavily restricting carbohydrates and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
For the first several years, much more than I am now. I'm able to have a little more carbs now, but yeah, I was pretty strict at that point, but having much more protein than that original protocol.
Were you pretty much able to get off the medications the same time you started the diet, or was there kind of like a overlap
It took a while. It was definitely a process. It didn't feel safe to fully get off them right away. I was kind of titrating off of them slowly. But then the other piece of it is, and this is what leads into sound, is that I was experimenting with different nutrients, things like the phospholipids, phosphatidylcholine and serine, CDP choline, etc. And those nutrients also changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then those are in our first product that we're launching here in about a month. Many of those are in that product. So many of the nutrients that go into here changed my life.
Crazy how something as simple as food can have such a profound impact, and it doesn't get talked about near enough.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Absolutely. Well, it gets into conversation, but I sat with the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee yesterday, and we're talking about improving nutrition for the warfighter as well.
Mm-hmm. No, this is super cool, man. Like our product, the Keto Brick, like it's been in 2 studies involved in like military applications, and one of them just got published early this week, actually. But I'm like, when you look at what they're feeding, the military personnel, the MREs, it's got a lot of calories in there. But I would hope to think that we're past the point of just looking at calories and actually diving into the nutrients therein, and
For sure.
what they're typically feeding them is far from nutritious.
Far from nutritious. We probably have the best military food and combat food in the world, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not. And a lot of it has to do with just some of the requirements. I mean, they have to have very, very long shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
They have to store a lot of food in prep for a surge. So so that's one of the big problems. So it has to have extended shelf life. We're talking 3 to 5 years shelf life. So that becomes difficult to get nutrients in there, right, and maintain those nutrients. So you have to have something unique to do that. Conventional technology, conventional manufacturing can't do that. So whereas our new manufacturing, our proprietary patented technology is able to do that, actually put bioactive nutrients. We don't damage the nutrients in the first place, but then also add bioactive nutrients into a nutritional product, and then also give it shelf life.
And that's via the Soundwave technology.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, talk to me about that, man. You're definitely the only person I know that's doing anything with sound waves as it
Yep.
pertains to formulation. So how did you even stumble upon that? Like where'd you able to connect the dots there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I just there was a point where I have a background in investment banking. After I came kind of back to the world, I went to NYU in finance and got into investment banking, and then left that when I realized I'm a terrible employee. Need to do my own thing, right? So I just started poking around food shows, because I'm always looking for, I'm always experimenting. Like I said, I was an early biohacker and just always trying to find a solution for myself. Because here I am trying to, have an active life, while also dealing with pretty substantial, medical challenge, and I need my nutrients, but I need them to be able to enjoy them anywhere or be able to take them anywhere, because I'm busy, and I'm trying to give my life meaning, and that's what
Mhm.
that's what it was. That's what drove me through the really challenging times with when it didn't look like I was going to make it. Easily could have given up. There was a point that I didn't want to live anymore, and uh, what drove me through that is, hey, look, I've got to give this life some meaning. There's got to be a reason for me being here, and I've got to bring that out. So so that's a lot of what drove me and drives me today. But lost my train of thought.
How was it you discovered the Soundwave
Oh, yeah.
technology? Like
So,
what led?
so I just started poking around food shows and looking for solutions. And I met a guy at his booth. We just hit it off for a while. I said, here, come to my office next week. And I'm in LA. I live in LA, and he's down in Orange County. So went down the next week, and he introduced me to this technology. Ultimately, the inventor. And some years, it took a year and a half of negotiation to acquire the technology to do a deal with the inventor. And so then it was basically a benchtop at the time, and we had to figure out from there, okay, what do we do to commercialize it? What do we do to manufacture at scale? It's a completely different animal to take a benchtop technology and scale the manufacturing. That was very challenging. I didn't have the it was much harder than I expected. We would say it that way, but we got there, and so that was fairly recently that we figured that out, and then really what the technology allows us to do, like you said, I'm looking at it, okay, when it's being explained to me, okay, that's an interesting business opportunity, but can it also help me? And if it can help me, then we can help a lot of people around the world. And so what we're actually doing with it is we're helping that biohacker bring joy back to the process, bring joy back to the regimen, because instead of having to choke down all these pills and powders, and there's no joy in that, right? And we want to be able to give them a great tasting, and that it is. These are great tasting with great textured food products. So we're giving them a food experience, a great joyful food experience for consuming those bioactive nutrients that they need for. So we're starting with the mind bar, as I mentioned. So it's essentially a nootropic stack, and what is physically a bar, but it's a nutrition product. And so that's what we're starting with, and then we'll move on to other things as well. So sport, longevity, senolytics, perhaps over time, and immune, etc. But starting with a mind bar, a nootropic
Yeah,
stack.
nootropics are hot right now as well, so that should be good timing.
Yeah.
What does the Soundwave technology actually impart on the nutritional profile?
Sure. What it does is essentially it's a very gentle process. So conventional technology uses heat and or pressure and additives like sugar syrups, gums, date paste, what have you, to literally stick ingredients together. In our case, we're using sound waves. And this is at a fraction of a second, by the way. Sound waves to flow through the ingredients and form them together at the particle level, not at the molecular level. So it's not a chemical bonding, which we don't want, because then that changes the character of the nutrients that are in there. It's a physical bonding at the particle level, creating this interparticle bridging that forms it together very gently. But then when you're eating it, it melts in your mouth and crumbles like a cookie. It's a very different eating experience than from your typical bar out there. We're not using all the additives. It's our process that's forming it together.
So the adhesiveness basically is just created from the particles within the molecule themselves and that are opened up via the sound waves that they're passing through.
Yeah, so the sound waves are flowing through, the sound energy is flowing through, and then creating these bridging between the particles.
That's very interesting. So, what is the? I know you haven't launched yet, but what is the macro profile and primary ingredients in the Mind Bar, for instance?
Yeah, it can be just about anything, but this is a relatively high fat. So the base is there's 14 grams of protein. Just start with the macros. 14 grams of protein. There's a relatively high amount of fat, so it would be keto friendly. There are some carbs in there, so you wouldn't want to have a lot more. If you're strictly keto, you wouldn't want to have more than 2 of these a day or so. And then what you have in there in terms of bioactives, you've got your phospholipids. So that's your phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine, CDP choline. There's some CoQ10. There's a little bit of caffeine, which is a bioactive. And what else? That's about it. Yeah, but it tastes great. So this one, the first one is a chocolate peanut butter flavor. There's less than a gram of processed sugar. The rest is honey and sugar.
And what's the total caloric intake?
It's about 220.
20, nice.
Yeah. So, and it's just a great tasting way, a great experience to get those bioactives that you want for that. It replaces your nootropic stack.
Yeah. No, that's super cool, man. So you get the mind one with the nootropics, and you'll have the sport one. I'm assuming it'll probably have more caffeine. Maybe some.
That sport formula came from one of our advisors used to work for the 49ers, and so he knows a lot of the nutritionists in the NFL. And so we asked them, okay, what would you want in a pregame snack? Because it is a real issue for a known issue for these athletes. What do you have pregame? In between your full meal and game time, that's that's hours of time, and you don't want to give them another full meal, so you want to give them some kind of a snack that's not overly heavy, but will help them during the game. And so what they came back with, look, we want a moderate amount of protein, 9-10 grams, and then creatine, BCAAs, possibly some beta-alanine, and some electrolytes. So
Nice.
this would be a good pregame, good pre-workout. So this would be one that would be good for you on a pre-workout basis.
Very cool, man. Very cool. And how is the journey through the whole manufacturing process been? Because we do all of our production in house, and like when I think back on like when we made the first bricks to where we are now, it's like all the headaches learned. It's been a journey for sure.
It is a lot. It is definitely a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to figure that out. So did you create a new manufacturing process?
Yeah, so we do everything in house, man. So I made these out of my own personal needing and way to scratch my own itch. Never even planned on making it a product. So I was just making them like on my kitchen counter, and then decided to. I got enough comments and feedback wanting to, people asking where they can get it, how they can make it, where to buy it. So we just rolled up our sleeves and started making them. We were, leasing a commercial kitchen by the hour, formulating all these things. Then we lived in a warehouse space, another commercial kitchen, and did that for 3 years. Then we just bought a facility a few years back, and we've just kept production in house from day one. So it's been a journey, man, but it's awesome to be, boots on the ground with it.
Yeah. How's that? I've seen them. How is that? How's it going?
It's going good, man. Like we've got all kinds of flavors now. We just continue to add new flavors. We had a little bit of a hiccup when the cacao crisis hit because cacao butter was our primary fat source,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
the world was just shaken by storm when that happened, and all of our costs went 6x.
For sure.
So we've had tallow as a fat source now, grass finished beef tallow,
Yeah.
and that's been super well received. So yeah, it's a journey, man. But every day's a new hurdle or obstacle to overcome, and you learn something new every time.
Yeah, we're using cacao butter as well. But so you didn't want to switch to a palm stearin or something?
No, I've always liked the cacao butter because it's like the highest source of stearic acid, and especially in the keto community. Like the stearic acid typically digested very well, and then from a performance standpoint, you get a host of benefits from that. No GI distress. So I've just stuck with the cacao butter as the primary fat fuel substrate.
Yeah, it's a great product. It's a great ingredient. So for sure. And so then, if you mind me asking, so you've been keto for roughly 10 years? Is that right?
Yeah, it's been over 10. I don't know when my official start date was, but it's probably coming up on 11 years now.
Oh, great.
Pretty good. Wow.
And so there's a lot of debate, right? I mean, a lot of people say that you can't be a bodybuilder, you can't get into hypertrophy and on ketosis, right? What do you say? Obviously, you disagree.
Yeah, I normally just show them one of my pictures of me going pro at 3.9% body fat, and that typically shuts them up pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people push back on the longevity aspect of it, and that's something I've always been frustrated with. Like people will say, "Hey, you can't do this long term. You'll lose your ability to be metabolically flexible. You become insulin, resistant." And it's like I know I'm not the only one. Like I know several people that have been ketogenic for long term, and I think there is an issue where people go keto and they stay, calorically restricted for far too long. That's going to downregulate metabolism and hormones. So if you are keto, you need to have periods of time where you're eating at a higher intake. But if you monitor that well, then there's no risk, I think, in being strict keto long term.
Yeah, I don't understand where they connect keto with insulin resistance, right? Because you're not when you're keto, you're not pushing the insulin pump, right? So
yeah, and your body fights to regulate, standard blood serum glucose levels. So it's not like you don't have glucose in your system and your body doesn't know how to use it anymore. And like that's always in circulation. So yeah, the the physiological and the pathological insulin resistance argument against keto is an interesting one, but I feel like there's a growing body of people that are illustrating the opposite.
Yeah, it's whether it's pro anabolic could be debatable, but it's clear, well, based on some studies, but it makes a ton of sense that it is anti-catabolic,
Yeah.
right? Because
Anti-catabolic.
yeah,
And I feel like, there is an argument to be made that insulin, heightened insulin levels could drive more tissue growth. So from an
right.
anabolic standpoint, that would be desirable.
Mhm.
But insulin, like that growth is going to result in fat tissue growth, muscle tissue growth, cancer cell growth. You can't really pick and choose what growth you want necessarily. And even if I'm sacrificing some hypertrophic growth by not eating carbohydrates, I would think it would be very minimal, if any. And then when I do go into a fat loss phase, I hold on to more muscle because of the anti-catabolic nature of keto. So at the end of the day, the net outcome is positive, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, they may be right that you need that insulin pump to maximize hypertrophy. Maybe that may be correct, but at the same time, it's just like investing, right? The key is to lose, right?
Hmm.
Not have the down cycle, right? So
Hmm.
and so if you don't lose muscle, then at the end of the day, you're ahead, right? So
Exactly.
that makes a
Because
lot of
how long have you been doing it? I mean, if you started doing keto after you had your seizures and after you gotten through the medication, I mean, you've been doing it for quite some time yourself.
been quite a while, maybe 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you haven't keeled over by way of long term keto yet. So
No.
looks like you're doing pretty good to me.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't keeled over. No, definitely. And I've even gone, in a lot of ways even farther to where I'm mostly, catabolic. Or sorry, I'm mostly, meat eater, what carnivore,
Carnivore. Yeah.
mostly, you know.
So what does daily nutrition look like for you to hedge against the seizures and just optimize day to day function?
Yeah, pretty much. That's basically it. Yeah. I'm just
What
trying
how
to
do you construct your meals? Like, are you having like 2 meals a day, meat, eggs, basics?
Yeah, so for a while I was trying to do, I'm still doing it, but some intermittent fasting, right,
Hmm.
for the longevity effects of it. But and so for a while I was trying to do only eat between 10 and 2. I think
Hmm.
Dom does that, right? Um,
Yeah, Dom's always experimenting with something, but he's
yeah,
done a lot of the intermittent fasting. He's done a lot of crazy extended fasting, and then he'll come rip 500 some odd pounds for deadlifts after a 5 day fast.
I,
He's a beast.
I know. I've seen that. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, so for me, I just wasn't getting enough calories. I lost a lot of muscle mass, a lot. I went from, you know, I wasn't super lean, but I was 230. Okay, I had some blubber on me, but I went down to about 185
Hmm.
in months. So I just lost too much muscle mass, and so I'm like 5'11.
Hmm.
So um, and I haven't built it back. I've put some back, but not nearly all of it. And so, um, what was I saying? Again, lost my train of thought. Um,
How much do you weigh now?
I'm about 195 right now.
95 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
feel
I
like
lost a lot. And so, right. So I just wasn't getting enough. So now to answer your question, what do I eat? And how do I eat? So I have a big protein based, and fat based breakfast, and
hmm
then same at lunch. And then I try to not eat after 2 o'clock.
nice. You said you're mostly carnivore now. If you allow yourself a lot of vegetation, even if it's low glycemic, do you notice that having a negative impact on any seizure-like symptoms, even if it's just greens?
No, no, the problem there is when you start having sugars. That's when I have more of a problem. I can have a little bit. Sometimes I'll mix in like your non nightshade um, carbs, like sweet potatoes. That's
Hmm.
the one that I that I allow myself. I'll have some sweet potatoes on occasion. Um, and because I'm still keeping inflammation down. And so if I do that, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Nice.
Yeah. But if I
What
start
was the
eating sugars, or chocolate, or something like that, like I was on a trip and I had some desserts with my kids, and I wasn't feeling so good after that for a
no
while.
bueno. What was the motivation for going more towards the carnivore side of the spectrum? Just gut health and streamlined nutrition, or what?
It's I still have the immunological issues, right? So it's not as severe, but they're still there. So
Hmm.
just trying to it's kind of a biohacking thing, just trying to optimize my brain function as best I possibly can. And for me, that's keeping the inflammation down. That's keeping the immune system very calm. And so what I found is if I'm the closer I am to strict carnivore, the better I feel.
Yeah.
So
Do you notice any issues if you're like eating a ton of protein relative to dietary fat? Like if you're eating a bunch of chicken, for instance, and not getting enough dietary fat in there, do you notice any adverse effects from that?
I've never tested that. Actually, I'm always getting plenty of fat, whether it be from avocados or the fat in the meat.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if I've actually ever tested that. So
I've seen a few people that like go strict carnivore and they'll just not be getting enough. Like they'll not be tracking, they'll be eating intuitively, which is
mhm.
fine, but they'll not be getting enough dietary fat. So their protein significantly exceeds fat, and then they'll notice their blood glucose rising quite rapidly,
Mm.
despite not having any carbohydrates, and they'll just have more brain fog, GI distress, things like that.
I haven't done the testing of my glucose levels in a very long time. I used to stab my finger, check the blood, but at this point I'm able to go by feel. But that would be an interesting test to check that. So maybe I will start testing my blood again.
Yeah, it's I'm always running some kind of experiment, so it's always interesting to see how certain foods and ratios impact things.
For sure.
Um,
So is that
what's on the
that's what you
horizon?
find out? That's what you find out in yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much, like I don't claim to be carnivore because I'll have some things that are not, technically carnivore, but I'm 99% of what I eat is, carnivore.
Okay.
Lots of meat, lots of eggs, and then I'll eat a keto brick a day typically. So that's not, we got some carnivore flavors, but I mean, depending on what flavor I'm using, it's not technically
Mhm.
carnivore. So I'll have predominantly fats and proteins, and I'll either do a 1-to-1 ratio in grams of fat to protein, or my fat will exceed protein in grams. But if I ever have like a ton of, leaner cuts, like a bunch of fish or seafood or chicken or something like that relative to fat, like I just notice a lot more GI distress, a lot more fluid retention, a lot more brain fog.
Interesting. Okay. So the higher your fat, the better the brain fog and the fluid retention.
Yeah, so I won't hold as much excess fluid retention if my fat ratio is on the higher side of things, whereas I will if I have too much protein relative to fat.
And when you say 1-to-1, or you mean on a caloric basis or just a pure gram basis?
Usually a gram basis. So like for me, my maintenance intake is around 3,000, 3,300 calories. So if I'm targeting that, I'll do a 1-to-1 ratio in grams fat to protein. So a typical day for me might be like 200, 250 grams of fat, 200 grams of protein or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
But it really just depends on where I'm at, if I'm in a building phase or a cutting phase, because obviously the
Right.
intake differs quite a bit between the two there. Um,
So
but
as
yeah, I
your building phase, what do you what's your ratio?
so I'll typically be around that 1-to-1 ratio in a building phase,
Okay.
and then when I'm in a cutting phase, obviously my total intake's dropping. I've got like a 7-phase protocol that I do when I'm in a fat loss phase, but I'll
Okay.
start with a very high fat ratio, like 80% of my calories coming from fat, and then I'll titrate protein up gradually while fat is dropping until
Okay.
I find my unique protein threshold. And then from there, I start dropping both fat and protein, all the while total calories are dropping. And then I'll get down to just shy of 2,000 calories or so, and then which is pretty low for me. And then I'll start introducing ketogenic caloric refeeds on a weekly basis or something like that to peak for the competition or whatever it is I'm doing.
You say unique protein threshold. What do you mean by that? Explain that.
So basically, like when protein is too high relative to fat, that's when people start to experience that GI distress, rising glucose, dropping ketones, brain fog, and that's going to be different for everybody. It kind of depends on the phase they're in. So, like for me, in the context of a fat loss phase, that's typically around about 200 to 220 grams of protein. So that's my protein threshold, and then I'll start dropping it from there because anything beyond that is just not really optimal. Plus, once you're fat adapted, I mean, you're not getting your energy from protein. It's not really a great substrate for fuel.
Right.
So if you only have so many calories to work with and you're taking in far too much protein relative to fat, your energy is going to be hindered. And if your energy is down, you can't train as well. And if you can't train as well, you're going to be more at risk of losing lean tissue. So there's definitely a science to it all.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I'll start exploring that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, we can talk all day long about nutrition, man. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon for the sound bars? Like, what is you're going to launch in a month or so? So, like, what's the plan from a marketing exposure standpoint? Just like, how's that going to play out?
Yeah. So we'll launch here in about a month, and again, we're bringing the joy back to the regimen. We're focusing on those hardcore biohackers, right? So what we're offering is joy, but then also efficacy, right? So because our technology allows us to do is to use a microencapsulation form of these bioactive nutrients. And so the microencapsulation is what allows it. So, when you take supplements and your urine turns green or yellow or something, you know that you're just peeing it down the toilet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You swallow it and it's going right down the toilet. So the trick is to be able to get it into the cells to actually do some work, right? So the microencapsulation allows for that. And then also the added benefit of masking the bitterness and protecting and preserving them in the matrix of the product. So so that's really the value prop to these folks. And so going after them, because again, bringing that joy back mostly, right? And then how we're getting there is podcasts like this, and then going to every conference that we can. That's biohacking and longevity focused. And so that's it. That's our plan. We're DTC for the next, good 18, 24 months once we launch. That's the focus. And again, launching with that nootropic stack of the Mind product. And then again, we'll layer in later. First we'll come out with some more flavors of the Mind product. Right now it's the chocolate peanut butter. We'll add some more. And then next will be a sport with the ingredients we talked about earlier, and then again a longevity after that.
Nice.
That's the plan.
Are y'all going to be at Hack Your Health in November? That conference?
I'm aware of it. We're looking at it. Yeah,
you should come, man. I speak at that one. Okay. This will be the first year that I don't have a booth there for our product, but I've been there every year they've had it, and that's always been a good conference for getting it out in front of people, and they've really pushed towards the biohacking space, so that would be a good one for you. Yeah,
remind me, where is it?
It's in Florida this year, so it's normally been in Austin, Texas, but this year it's going to be in Florida. I think Tampa area, but yeah, it's just Hack Your Health, so if you search that, you'll find the location, but that'd be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. So where are you based?
I'm in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay, cool.
Where are you?
I'm in LA, in the Palisades.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Nice.
Yeah, the Palisades right here at the moment. But this is my home. So yeah, and we survived the fires, obviously. So,
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
LA's been, man, they've been hit with all kinds of things lately, man. They've been put through the ringer.
Yeah, it's been rough, but my kids are now 11 and 12, and I think about the last 5 years with everything that's gone on. They've had to deal with a lot of adversity already, which is good for them in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Builds tough kids, resilient kids, for sure.
Exactly.
If they're able to be just subjected to all the hardships and just come up swinging.
Yeah, that's right. And I've been really impressed with, particularly with the fires. We were displaced for a few months, for 4 or 5 months, and they just kept motoring through. They, they were fine, so.
What'd you have to do with like schools and stuff? Because obviously when you're displaced, I mean, they're not going to the same school, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
right?
school burned down. It was in the Palisades village. So it temporarily moved to, there was 2 boys and girls clubs in Santa Monica that we were temporarily, and then found another location in area called Ocean Park. It's a little farther south. Um, so it worked out, and the new facility's beautiful, and really excited about it. So, and my
Nice.
daughter's still there. That's a little school called Seven Arrows, and my son's off to middle school. He's on 7th grade now. So he's in a completely out in Calabasas, a school called Viewpoint out there, and so it's pretty complex now. So
That's cool
getting
though,
him
man.
out
I got
there,
a
yeah.
I got a 3-year-old my newest son. I mean, he just turned 6 weeks old, I guess.
Oh
Uh,
wow,
so
yeah.
I'm on the early chapters, trying to get adjusted and acclimated to having 2 kiddos, which is tough.
It is tough. It's exponential, right? So then you have a third one, then it just really gets crazy, which I don't have. But when I've seen folks have a third, and it's because you're no longer, as they say, you're no longer playing man to man, right? It's
Yep.
down for sure. So you gonna do that? You gonna have another?
I don't know, man. It'll be 2 or 3 for sure. I don't know which. I've talked to people that have 2, and I've talked to people that have 3. And from what I've gathered, 3 is amazing once they're all old enough to kind of like be relatively self sufficient. But like if you've got 3 kids that are all, like young, that's
Yeah,
like just brutal from
it's
what I've
hard.
been told.
It is hard. Well, and having 2 that are minor, 16 months apart. So it was really good for them because they're joined at the hip,
Mhm.
boy and girl, and they get along very. Of course, they have spats, of course, but in general they get along very, very well. So it's good for them to be close in age, and of course having the older boy and the younger girl, they're pretty much developmentally the same, right?
Mhm.
So that was good too.
Nice.
There's something about us boys. We're just, there's something wrong with us. Takes us a while, but so that's great. And so anyway, it's been quite a journey. I've learned being a dad is which I love it. I love the experience. I would have done it a long time ago had I known how great it was. But it's hard, I tell you what, it's taught me more about the world, more about life than anything else has.
It's hard for everybody, but it's hard, especially if you're like trying to build a business because you're working more than the 9 to 5 for
100%.
sure, and like you're passionate about it as you should be, but you're also obviously passionate about your family. So like
Yeah.
trying to toe that line to not leave anything, left undone is a challenge. But I
It's
feel
tough.
like having kids, it gives you so much perspective, man. Like it lets you recognize very very clearly what actually matters in life, what's important, and I feel like that's good. That's worth every hardship it brings. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly right. Yeah. Well, that's
Well, I'm
you.
excited for it, man. You
Yeah.
got all kinds of cool stuff in the pipeline on the horizon. I would definitely check out Hack Your Health. I'd love to meet you there if you got a booth there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
See the product. But I love all things manufacturing and food and quality and integrity of ingredients. So the fact that you're leading the front line on a new technology with the sound waves, I mean, that's super exciting, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely work on getting there. I'd love to meet you, and I'd love to get you some samples. For sure.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
or the other, we need to get you some product.
Likewise, I'll send you some bricks. Send me some
Yeah.
sound bars, and we'll just make it an even
Let's do it.
swap, and we'll both try 'em.
Let's do it. Awesome.
Awesome, Don. Well, where do people go to find out more? I know I went to your website prior to recording. There's no way to purchase yet, obviously, because they haven't launched. But I guess you got like an email
No, yeah. You
list.
can put your email on there, and in about a week, it'll look completely different. But yeah, Sound.Food is the website. You can go there and keep keep tabs on us. Again, you can put your email in there to get for notification when they're available, and we'll love for you to do that, and we'd love to get some samples out.
Awesome, Don. Well, keep killing it. Keep fighting the good fight. If there's everything I can do to help, you just let me know, brother.
Will do. Same to you. Thank you, Robert.
Appreciate you, sir.
Great. Take care.